They say one act of kindness can change a life, but in the bustling streets of Marrakech, it nearly destroyed one. In the heart of Morocco, where the call to prayer floated across the rooftops and spices filled the air with fire and sweetness, lived a young carpet weaver named Samira. Weave by thread, she wove her dreams into existence on the loom, creating intricate tapestries of beauty that belied the chaos of her life. For every vibrant knot she tied, there was a debt collector breathing down her neck, a creditor threatening to take her meager home, and a constant worry for her mother, bedridden with a mysterious illness. Amidst this turmoil, Samira found solace in small joys. She loved watching children at play, their laughter echoing the chiming of distant bells. And she cherished her garden, where amidst the medicinal herbs and aromatic mint grew a single rose bush. Its thorns symbolized the hardships of her life, yet its buds promised a hope of blooming beauty. One sweltering afternoon, after treading the dusty paths of the souks or marketplaces, carrying her woven rugs on her head and dreams in her heart, Samira felt the weight of her world pressing down. On her shoulders, just as she neared her home, a commotion stopped her in her tracks. In the center of the street lay a man, his robes torn, his face etched with pain, and his skin dry as the leather from which the tanneries dyed. His lips cracked and pale as bone, he whispered hoarsely, "Water, please, water." Samira hesitated. The man was an outcast, someone society had pushed to the fringes, forgotten and alone. And she knew the coins in her pocket were better spent on medicine for her mother than on charity. But his eyes, they mirrored the despair she felt in her soul. His pain resonated with the ache in her own heart. Taking a deep breath, she walked into the nearest shop, a labyrinth of narrow aisles filled with jars of sweet-smelling oils and fresh fruit. She bought water, the coppery liquid filling the clay pot she held. As she emerged back onto the street, the beggar was still there, his form shriveled like a raisin under the harsh glare of the midday sun. She crouched beside him, offering the water. "Drink," she said softly. He lifted his head, his eyes wide with surprise, and then he drank deeply. With renewed strength, he sat up and motioned with a shaking hand towards a piece of bread on the ground. Samira understood. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out the last coin she had and bought him some bread. As she watched him eat, she noticed the green glint in his eyes. They held a depth, a wisdom that seemed out of place on the face of someone living in such misery. For a moment their gazes locked, and she saw not a beggar, but a reflection of her own resilience. When he finished eating, she helped him to his feet. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice hoarse but grateful. "You have given me life when no one else would. May Allah bless you." And with that, he shuffled away, disappearing into the maze of the old city. Samira walked home slowly, the image of the beggar etched in her mind. That night, as she lay beside her mother, the scent of mint from the garden drifting through the open window, she thought about the beggar and wondered if he had survived. Sleep evaded her. Thoughts of her late father, his debts, and her uncertain future kept her awake. Just before dawn, when the sky was a canvas of soft purples and pinks, she heard a knock at the door. Startled, she got up and opened it to find a group of men in red turbans standing on her doorstep. They were the executioners, come to take her father's loom and sell it to pay off his debts. Tears welled up in her eyes. The loom was her only link to her father, a tangible piece of the love they shared. As they reached for the loom, a voice boomed from behind her, "Enough!" Turning, she saw a tall, regal man striding towards them. His face was stern, his eyes sharp, and his robes spoke of wealth and power. The leader of the executioners trembled and bowed low. "Prince Idris," he stammered. "I am sorry, honorable prince, but the weaver owes money, and the Sultan has commanded us to collect it." Idris stepped forward and placed a heavy pouch in the man's hands. Take this and leave. The weaver will pay her debt another day." The executioners, surprised by the sudden turn of events, bowed their heads and took the money. As they hurried away, chattering in hushed tones, Idris turned to Samira. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice unexpectedly gentle. Samira, still in shock, managed a nod. "Come with me," the prince said, extending a hand. Hesitantly, she placed her hand in his. The touch of his fingers sent a jolt through her, and she couldn't help but notice how his calloused hand contrasted with the silk of his robe. He led her to a magnificent horse with a golden saddle. "Ride with me," he said, helping her onto the horse. Together they rode through the silent streets towards the rising sun, the prince leading the way and Samira following, clutching his words like a lifeline. Days later, whispers spread through Marrakech like wildfire. A scandal. The wealthy Prince Idris, heir to the Sultan's throne, had vanished from the palace. Rumor claimed he was missing, lost somewhere in the sprawling city. Some said he was kidnapped, others that he eloped with a noblewoman. But none knew the truth, for Idris had disappeared without a trace. Then one morning, palace guards stormed Samira's stall in the marketplace. "You, the prince commands your presence," one of them barked, gripping her arm tightly. She was dragged into the golden halls of the palace, where the Sultan sat on a throne of burnished gold and precious stones. He was a man of immense presence, his face creased with years of ruling, his eyes sharp and knowing. Beside him sat Prince Idris, looking different now, no longer the carefree young man, but regal, severe. When he saw Samira, his eyes lit up, and he rose from his seat. "Father," he said, gesturing towards Samira, "this is the weaver who helped me when I was disguised as a beggar." The Sultan's gaze, sharp as a hawk's, settled on Samira. "So you are the woman who has distracted my son from his royal duties." His voice rumbled like distant thunder. Idris stepped forward. "Father, I am of age and able to choose my own path. I have seen what true worth is in this woman, and I want you to meet her." Taking his father's hand, he led him towards the throne where Samira stood. "Samira, this is my father, the Sultan. She is the woman I wish to marry." The court erupted in gasps. Ministers, nobles, even servants gasped in disbelief. A poor weaver girl, marrying into royalty. It was unthinkable. The Sultan, his face thunderous, slammed his hand on the armrest of his throne. "Silence! This is preposterous. You are to wed a prince, not a lowly weaver." Idris stepped back, his eyes flashing with defiance. "What worth is gold if a heart is empty? Her kindness has shown me what no crown ever could." Samira, sensing the tension, spoke up. "My Lord Sultan, I understand your anger. I never meant to intrude upon your son's life. But our bond is real, and my love for him is true." Her voice, though trembling, held a strength that belied her years. The Sultan looked at his son, then back at Samira. He saw the love in Idris's eyes and the sincerity in the young woman's gaze. He sighed, realizing that no amount of force could sever the connection he saw between them. "Very well," he said finally. "But know this, Samira. You have my permission on the condition that you prove your worth in my court." Samira's act of kindness lifted her from the market to the palace, but it also brought jealousy, gossip, and endless trials. Yet through it all, she held her head high. She proved herself worthy, not just to the Sultan, but to the entire kingdom. And so the tale teaches us this. One act of kindness can change the course of a kingdom, but only if we are brave enough to offer it, even when it costs us everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more timeless tales that remind us of the power hidden in simple acts.